Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Coach Deborah. Thank you for tuning in to Build Your Best Life. I'm here with my dear friend, Esther. Hi, Esther. How are you?
Deborah, I am so good. I'm just super excited to be on with you. Y'all, Coach Deborah is the real deal, if y'all did not know yet, okay?
Yeah, she can talk. She can talk. If you knew all the things this lady is doing, I tell you, she is a ball of fire. But I am so happy to have her back on. She's been on before. But you know, we are talking about Blueprint for Success all of this year. And this month, we are focusing on Blueprint for Moms and Sons. So all of that is so key, so essential. And, you know, May is a great month to talk about that because of Mother's Day. But we have so many moms that are the number one caregiver or supporter for their children in general.
Yeah.
But, you know, sons, it takes a lot for them because I feel like they have double duty because they have to be number one and successful for themselves as well as for that family that they will take on one day. So they got a double pressure. So we have a great topic today, but first I want to just say thank you to everyone for everything that you do for Build Your Best Life, your prayers, and I know that you are praying for us because I mean I just keep finding people that are so they have the same passion that I do. They have different expertise. And so we're able to equip our young men. We're able to encourage our mothers. So it is super exciting. So thank you. And for those likes and shares and comments, we appreciate all that good stuff. But we have a great topic for you here today. And I don't want to prolong it very long, but thank you, Rosemary, Deacon Holmes, Deacon Dan. Thank you, Agnes. Thank you all for tuning in. I know you're gonna love this topic today.
You're naming some of my friends. I'm getting excited.
So before we get into it, yeah, because you and Rosemary go way back, don't
you? We do. That's one of my buddies.
Before we get all wrapped up in it, I do want to give Esther opportunity because everyone has not met Esther, but to tell us what she has going on and what her blueprint for success looks like.
Oh my goodness. So much, right? So much is going on. I am, if you don't know me, my name is Esther Moreno, and I am the founder of Child's Heart LLC, which is really dedicated towards training children's ministry leaders on how to go forth with the spirit of excellence and how they reach children and families for Christ. I have so much going on because God has such a sense of humor, and I am just loving it. I call it beautiful chaos as a busy mother of a son and actually a preteen daughter that is about to be 13 going on 30. So there is so much happening in my life, but just super blessed to have the opportunity to just speak across the country on my heart and my passion in children's ministry, and to train leaders and to inspire and uplift and encourage. Entirely blessed to be able to actually contribute to some of the curriculums that maybe some of you use in your churches today. And I think, Deborah, I think I have my hands in probably everything children's ministry now. So I don't think I can just pick just one, but it is an absolute joy with what I can do. I think I would say, Coach Deborah, when it came to the blueprint for success, I have two words, and that's accountability and consistency.
I
I
love that
think these
word.
two words, yes, these two words are so important. I have to tell you that had it not been for accountability, I don't know if I would be where I am today. Coach Deborah, I know that you know I work very closely with Coach Ricardo Miller and so many others. But can I tell you that I have a coach for every area of my life? Because call me a bum or lazy, I just will not do it alone. Because I don't believe that we have to. And I think so many of us think that we have to do this thing alone, that we have to figure out how to do things by ourselves. And one of the things that I love that Coach Ricardo Miller has taught me is that someone is assigned to help you. And this statement that he uses quite often, I've really taken it on for myself, and I have actually watched as God has evolved that, not just in one area, not just in my career, but in my marriage, in my home life. Someone is assigned to help you in my fitness and my health and my nutrition. I constantly need accountability for that. So I'm just so grateful for the incredible coaches and mentors that God has given me to walk alongside me. And if you're watching today and you do not have a coach, you do not have a mentor, can I tell you that it is priceless to have those in your life? Is so critical and it's so important. And the word I also used, Coach Deborah, was consistency, staying consistent, refusing to allow excuses to prevent me from moving further or from pushing to that next goal. And I can tell you, as a busy mom, I have a lot of excuses that I like to use that are very easy, that some may consider, hey, you know what? That is totally okay. I get it. I go through this too. But instead of using those as excuses, I push past that. And because of the incredible accountability I have in my life, I am able to do what the enemy or even myself, let me not put everything on the enemy, sometimes ourselves,
Right.
we will perceive what is impossible when it's not impossible at all. We just have to push through and continue to fight to stay consistent. And as we are consistent, God sees that. And I'm a firm believer that God honors our consistency, especially when He is the center of that consistency. When we want to quit being consistent
Right.
and we pray and put Him at the center and ask for His divine strength to help us to stay consistent, it is just so powerful what God can do, what He has already called us to do and to become. So that has been my blueprint. I think that I am sticking with it because it is working for me.
Dang. That's right. That's awesome. I love it, love it, love it. And consistency, that is my word. I believe in that so much, consistency. And we have to teach our kids early. I
Mm,
was talking, I think it was Saturday, they, oh, mom, I want to learn how to play the piano. And you ask, and they say, yes, yes. You say, okay, but I have to purchase a piano because you have to
mhm.
practice. We don't have one. Now, you sure? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I have to pay for lessons. Yes, yes, yes. You get it. They want to do it a couple months, and then it's like, oh, yeah, you're gonna do it. You're going to do it. Yes, you're gonna
I
keep doing
love it.
it.
I'm very well acquainted with that with my children, picking 500 activities that they want to do and then quit.
Yes. Well, awesome. I love your blueprint. Well, our topic today is crisis,
Mm,
crisis. And when you think about that, you're like, oh, here we go again. We got some more gloom and doom. But hey, you're going to be totally surprised. It's not going to be gloom. It's not going to be doom. You're going to love this crisis that we're going to be talking about. But as people go through life situations as
mm,
well as other those leading ministries, they will find it essential to have a blueprint. That blueprint is, hey, you need one.
yeah.
However, without specific tools and processes in place, they can find themselves in crisis. So in life, you can be chugging along with accountability and consistency, but you can still run into crisis.
Yeah.
In leadership, you can run into crisis. So this is going to be a great topic. So Esther, please tell us the primary reason. First of all, I want to talk about something. Tell us the primary
Yay!
behind
Hey, I
the
love it. Deborah, we have to
book.
hold it. We have to kind of like together. We got to do a dance. No, okay.
Yeah. A book and a workbook. The Children's Ministry in Crisis. Children's Ministry in Crisis. Tell us about why.
Oh
Why?
man.
About.
Why? And can I tell it was so funny because I actually received a little criticism about, Esther, why are you kind of shouting, crisis because it's kind of a negative word and we want everyone to be happy and to be positive. The first thing I'll say, Deborah, is I think just navigating through high school and even when I met my husband in college, he would always say the same thing about me. Whenever I had people explain my character, they would say, "Man, Esther's just so real. She's just so real." And I think one of the main reasons why I wrote Children's Ministry in Crisis and called it Children's Ministry in Crisis is because I wanted to be real with children's ministry leaders as God has blessed me to be a part of this sacred holy work. I wanted to be real about my experiences as God has blessed me with the opportunity to train leaders across the country and to experience and to walk with them, to grieve with them with some of the struggles that they were having. I wanted to create a resource that really dug into some of those issues and the deficiencies that can cause us if we are not careful and lead us into a crisis in our children's ministry department. So as you go through this text, I really tried to focus on really 6 issues in particular. I have a special chapter for chapter 7, but it was 6 issues in particular that I just believe that if we do not focus and pay attention, we can lead our department into crisis. If we have no leadership, that was something I struggled with in the beginning when I first joined children's ministry. I thought because they picked me and I was the children's ministry leader, director, pastor, Sunday school coordinator, whatever the name you want to put on it, because I had the title, I thought that meant that I was a leader. And I learned that I had a lot of leadership deficiencies, that I wasn't leading, but in fact, I was just maintaining. And what does all that mean? No vision. That's a huge issue when people are operating off of no vision, even those who are co-laboring alongside us. That can lead us into crisis when we are not training others and helping them to grow in this sacred ministry. I'm a firm believer, Coach Deborah, that children's ministry is not babysitting. If anyone says that to me, it makes me want to punch them in the eyeball. But then I remember I know Jesus, so I pull back. But when I do children's ministry, it is a ministry. It is the discipleship of children. We hear this statement all the time: there is no junior Holy Spirit. But as people are coming to us, if we are not training them and helping them to grow, we can wake up and our children's ministry department could be in a crisis. I talk about burnout in the book. I think it's so easy for so many of us to get burned out or to burn out those who are co-laboring alongside us, whether you are leading or serving and not paying attention to that. And then we wake up, and this was a chapter I put in the book because it's something that I've experienced And a lot of the chapters I put in the books were all things that I had experienced, that I had been on the negative side of, and have also experienced the positive side of. But one of those things was a spiritually dead environment, right?
Mhm.
Where you're going through the motions of ministry, and things are just dead. Children's ministry is literally just babysitting while the grown-ups are at big church, quote unquote. And I was just really passionate to help leaders to see, because if I'm to be honest, Coach Deborah, I didn't see when I first started the ministry. I love the Lord. My heart was pure. I wanted to rush towards children's ministry, but a lot of these deficiencies within myself that was causing my department to lead to a crisis, I didn't see. So having the opportunity to help them to see has just been so incredible. So really, to sum that up, yeah, just to be real, because we be going through some stuff in children's ministry.
I know. Well, I have the book and I've been reading it, and it is awesome. The part that I have read. So I want to talk about it some more, some more, some more. So, in this book, leadership, vision, training, all those things are essential for not falling into crisis. And you say, some people say, well, why do you say crisis? But I know you want to be proactive. You're trying to equip us how not to get into crisis.
Exactly.
So, all that is essential. I love it, love it, love it. Hi, Jocelyn. Thank you for tuning in. But simply having a heart for God and the ability to connect with little saints doesn't automatically translate into leadership skills, as I know you very well much know. So talk to us about that leadership and vision.
Yeah. I think once upon a time, can I say this? I think once upon a time that was okay. You come into a space, you love kids, great, you got the job, you can lead our children's ministry. And that was totally fine. But I think children's ministry today, it is just not enough. It requires us to develop leadership skills in order to lead well. I told you, Coach Deborah, when I first came in, I thought because I had a title, I was the leader, but I had learned very quickly the difference between leadership and what I like to call myself at one point was the maintainer of all things. I thought that I was leading. I thought I was a visionary. I thought I was doing that, but really I was just maintaining what had always been done well. And that's not necessarily leadership. So really kind of learning how to lead well. What did it mean to lead well? Well, it meant that I couldn't just be so overly focused on the children, which is weird, right? For old school children's ministry, it is all about the kids. But as a leader, someone leading a department, someone even, and I'm going to be bold because I know that there are people who do children's ministry and they're not necessarily heading up the department. Maybe they're just leading a certain age group, or they're bivocational, whatever you're leading. Let me say this, because even if you're serving and a certain group or age group has been entrusted into your care, you are called to lead. So I don't want to just put it on people who are just leading departments, but something that I had to realize was I had to build relationships with the grown-ups, that it wasn't just about building relationships with the kids, but building positive, healthy relationships with those who are co-laboring alongside me, and really discover what that was like, and really lean into that. And so many different personalities, some of those people you didn't want to build relationships with. As a leader, I had to get over myself and build those relationships and invest, and to pray over my leaders, to be intentional about doing life with them, and knowing them, and not just caring about what they brought to the children's ministry department, or by showing up on a Sunday or midweek programming when we really needed them, but caring about what was happening in their lives and in their marriages, or their mother just passed away, or their husband's having a surgery, or someone's going through a painful divorce, and really walking through life with them. That was a intricate part of learning how to lead well, and even learning how to navigate with senior leadership and build positive relationships with them. I think in children's ministry, it is so easy for us to put ourselves on an island all by ourselves, assuming senior leaderships understands everything about what we're going through in the children's ministry, and they don't, because they are also carrying, and I would argue, the weight of the world on their shoulders. So with so many things that they are carrying, they are entrusting this leadership role to us. So learning how to communicate well with them, learning how to communicate, lead the department, or lead whatever space you're in well, while also nurturing them,
Mhm.
because they matter, and making sure that they feel supported by us, realizing that all of these pieces, it was like an onion, like leading a department in children's ministry was like an onion with so many different layers,
Yes.
and learning, peeling back every layer, and mastering skills on how to love people, love grown-ups well, was really a huge thing for me. I think when it comes to vision, vision is so huge. It is something I think that we are missing a lot in children's ministry. When I talk to so many leaders across the country, I think vision is a popular word that
Mhm.
we all jump into, like, yeah, have vision, write the vision, make it plain. But I think we drop off on the make it plain part. And I think our vision is our why. And it's so important, because I think in children's ministry, we could be operating off of a vision, but one of the problems with vision is nobody else knows it but you. like
Right.
like you know the vision, and you're comfortable. You have turned, if a light is turned off, you are able to navigate. When I get up, Coach Deborah, I'm gonna tell you my business. When I get up in the middle of the night and I have to use the bathroom, can I tell you, if I have to potty, that I'm able to keep the lights off so my husband can sleep, because I know where everything is, and
Right.
I can navigate, and I can kind of walk through without hitting anything, because I know. And I think for a lot of children's ministries, we're okay with that because we know,
Yeah.
and we forget that no one else knows the vision, and they don't know our house. They don't know what we know in our head, so they're stumbling all over the place. They're hitting everything, and they don't really have a why. And that could lead to all types of things, from burnout, a dangerous thing I talk about in the book. They can end up developing their own why for why they're there. And if Christ is not the center of the why for why they're there, then we're going to have a problem. So this is why vision is so important. Another issue with vision is sometimes the leader hasn't embraced it. I think it can be so easy when we're serving children. It is hard. Someone said this the other day. I don't want to steal it. His name was Chris Cox. I love him. He's a good friend of mine, and I love it because he tells the story how many of us have been forced to kind of serve in children's ministry because of certain circumstances, and
Mhm.
this is totally his situation. And he talked to just about vision and seeing the future in these little faces. It could be hard to
Mhm.
see that, but we need to learn how to see the future in them, and just what God has put in them. And we need to help those who co-labor alongside us to see that same future inside of these snotty nose kids. It can be hard to see the future in a snotty nosed kid, and a kid who may have a bad attitude because they've had a bad day,
They-
or a child who doesn't want to really get engaged because there's something deeper going on. But there's a future. They are written in God's book of life, and there's a future, and there is a incredible purpose that God has for them and for their lives, and us learning how to see that. We help people see that through vision, when we embrace the vision, when we share that vision with others. So that those are just a couple other things that I put in the book, just about even with crafting a vision, Coach Deborah, how difficult that can be. I think that we put a lot of those things on ourselves, and we don't have to craft a vision by ourselves. A lot of times, quite often, I'm a firm believer our vision should be aligned with the overall church's vision, and finding a way to incorporate, hey, this is the vision for the church, so how do we tie it to kids and totally align it with the vision for the overall church? But when we're getting in specifics, get a think tank together. You don't have to do it all by yourself. Get parents who
Yeah.
love their kids, who are concerned. I would beg to differ, which is totally taboo. Get some older kids involved, okay? Because they will tell you what they like.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
firmly, we need to start getting a couple. Don't get the crazy kids who are selfish, okay? We need to get the responsible kids who have proven themselves to be in that room, to share, hey, I know you guys like this, but this is really what we're into, and this will really help to reach us. Getting a think tank of other people and individuals and young people together to help us to craft that vision so that we can truly effectively reach children, families, and those around us who are serving with us.
Oh, I love that. The think tank with the younger ones. Yeah, that's a great idea. I know at our church we have, like, within children's ministry, we go up to fifth grade. So third, fourth, and fifth graders, we call them junior assistants, so they can help
Mm,
us lead. We teach them leadership skills, and then when they go off to the youth ministry, they come back and help out, and we call them ambassadors.
nice.
Though that's a group that we can get, that group together of some junior assistants, some ambassadors, and have that think tank. That's a great idea.
I love it.
See, I told y'all now, if you just joined, we are talking about, I know it's crisis, but this is what we're
Don't
talking
get
about,
scared.
crisis in children's ministry, and we're being proactive. Esther has written a book and a workbook. She's a great writer of children's curriculum. She's a speaker, teacher, and I know she'll tell you all this later on. But she's doing all of these things, and so that's what we're talking about today: crisis. And it's not so much it's in crisis, but how do you be proactive to not get into
Yes, to
um,
prevent a crisis, right?
yeah. So Yvonne, I see Yvonne has joined us. Monetta, hi Monetta, Melissa, thank you all for tuning in. This is a great, great topic, and I am loving this. I wish I could just have a seat and be sitting writing notes, and somebody else can just do the talking. So, as you talk about some of these other things that you have in the book, when we go about the training, is there like a
Mm.
rule of thumb relative to how often training is provided? And I mean to the children's workers,
Yeah,
volunteers.
absolutely. I think I'm a firm believer we should be finding ways to train all the time. I think that we get scared of that word all the time because we make training so difficult. A lot of times when we're thinking about training, and there are certain trainings that you can do. I always recommend that you get leaders together to go to a national conference. That's always an option. Whenever I recommend a national conference, I think that national conferences are really important and that they're special because you are around like-minded individuals who are also trying to reach the next generation for Christ, who can relate to some of the challenges that you go through. Just to be in that environment just really fuels children's ministry leaders. Whenever I recommend a national conference, I always say, hey, if you do a national conference, make sure that you don't just send the one person in charge,
Mhm.
because that pressure is just too much. It's so important that you send a team of people that can support each other, that can share information together. But I also want to be realistic, because the truth is, for some churches out there, they can't afford to send their people to a national conference. Coach Deborah, that is something that I really dedicated myself to. I have a Facebook page called the Children's Ministry Moving Forward page. And even this weekend, we are offering a training with incredible influencers in the space of children's ministry with just topics for children's ministry volunteers, whether you're serving or whether you are actually leading a department. It is a free event that I am putting on for the entire team. It's so important that we are intentional with finding things like that for our team. If whether you're strapped for cash financially, whether you're not, I think that we should be training all the time. I am huge on book clubs. I just joined a book club, and they were actually in this book club. They were actually featuring one of my books for one of the months, where we just got to get together and come together and just read the chapters and just talk about what we're getting out of it. What deficiency are we discovering in ourselves? What strength are we discovering that we never really even lean into as we're reading? As you're watching, I think it's so important, even when you're sitting in a moment, making it a learning moment. There are times when I see certain things, and I try to help those who I'm leading, and I try to say, "Hey, I love how you did this. What if you tried to do this? I really see this gifting in you," and just pushing them and training people in the moment. I think there are so many opportunities to train, to develop, to help grow our leaders. I think the crisis can come in, Coach Deborah, when we get so stuck in the motions of ministry that we wake up. Because I know how easy this is. We wake up and we haven't done it. It's been a month. We haven't done it. It's been 2 months, 3 months. We've done absolutely nothing to invest in our leaders and to help them grow. I would say this, a growing children's ministry needs a growing leader. And if you're not growing, if you're not investing in helping those around you to grow, your children's ministry is going to end in a crisis. And I hate to say that. I don't want to scare you, but it's so important when a lot of times, when I'm talking about training, the model I use is Jesus. When Jesus called the disciples, he didn't just say, "Hey, what's up, you? Now go and change the world." But he trained them. He invested in them. He equipped them. And after he did that, then he commissioned them to go. And I talked to so many leaders across the country, some of them who are embarrassed to admit that they've never made any effort in trying to help their people grow, people with incredible hearts who care about their children's ministries. But this has just been a ball that has been dropped. And because of it, you have people who have kind of been thrown into the lion's den. You have people who aren't prepared in the way that they should be prepared. And when you're not prepared for something, that bothers you. That can do something in you. That can make you think that you don't belong there, that you're not good enough for something. And one of the greatest tragedies I always say in children's ministry is when someone who is called to be in that space leaves because they weren't prepared, because they weren't trained, because they didn't grow, they weren't exposed to that. So I'm just a firm believer: train whenever you can.
All right, got that, Yvonne.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you're training and train yourself. Can I say this too? Because
Yeah.
I think that this is so important. Whether you are leading a department, I think sometimes when you're not leading a department and you're like, hey, I'm a volunteer, I come, I serve, I try to help, and I do my part and I leave, you think that it's on the leader to grow. But if God has called you to preschoolers, it is on you to do your homework and invest so that you can know how to reach them effectively. It is not about the leader in charge. It is about the God who has placed you there, who has ordained you to be there or whatever Sunday or midweek program it is. So I'm just a firm believer. I do not wait on leaders. I'm actually just serving in our local church right now. And one of the issues, we're at a church plant, and one of the issues we have as a church plant that doesn't have a lot of resources, we're getting kids who have special needs. And we don't turn away kids.
That's right.
So for me, that was a challenge for me because I don't specialize in special needs. So I'm not sitting there waiting for them to tell me what I need to do. I'm doing my homework. I'm tapping into all my resources. I'm spoiled. I have a lot of resources, but that's not the point. But I'm tapping into everything that I can so that I can learn and grow in a certain area so that when these kids come in, I'm able to reach them where they are because I have trained myself and I'm able to be effective and truly reach them for Christ and give them what they need because they deserve it and they're there for that. And God is trusting that responsibility, this holy, sacred responsibility for us to reach them when He gives them to us. So,
ouch. You just touched all over my toes, but you have just blessed and helped me because that's one of the possible crisis we have because we don't have anyone in our children's ministry that knows anything about special needs. And we're waiting because somebody said, okay, we're going to send somebody. We got somebody in the church. We're going to send them back there. We're going to send them back. Okay, I know Deborah needs to go. Me and Yvonne, we know we need to go and get some training ourselves. We need to find out what to do.
Yeah, 100%. And Coach Deborah, you come to me and I can send you to the people to go to. You too, Yvonne.
Yes, that sounds good. And I'm loving all these names I'm seeing out here. David Williams, Jeanette Turner. Thank y'all so much for tuning in here on this great topic. And some of your people, Esther.
I'm my people. Hey, if you on here, you my people.
All right. 5 people so I can hear from you again. Oh, all right. So, I'm loving about training. And you might have already answered this because, I also wanted to know, like, should you do specific modules or wait until you think, oh, there's a need for this? But as you doing the training, how
Coach Deborah, I would say this. One, don't wait on training. Do it today. Do it now. Find a creative way to do it. For me, when I first started, I was in a very small conservative church. So for me, I had to use free conference call training. No, it was freeconferencecall.com. That's what it was because it was free. I was at church. We ain't had no money. And I need to find a way to train them. And we'll find a topic and I will have them dial in. We were dealing with families that were super busy, who were serving in the ministry. And I would give them a time to dial in, and then we would talk about things. Sometimes we would talk about things while they're still attending to their families or washing dishes in the evening and getting ready for the new day. And I try to make it as convenient as possible. So what I do want to say, when you are doing training, make sure that it's convenient as possible, and make sure that don't be afraid to do targeted training. If I'm doing a training on preschool and reaching preschoolers, I'm not going to have everybody in there who's not even working with preschoolers. I'm going to make that a targeted thing where I'm just working with them. Hey, today we're talking about this. We're going to have this team. Hey, we're talking about this. Pay attention to your ministry and some of the deficiencies that you're seeing. Think about that. I say, I see a deficiency here. I think that we need to do a training on this. Let me figure out what I can do, what resource I can lean into. There are a lot of curriculums out there now that actually offer training as a part of their curriculum. Coach Deborah, you know me. We're friends. There's so many different resources out there to get your people the help that they need. You just have to ask. If you don't feel equipped to do that. But I think the most important thing is to pay attention to the needs that you have. Do a survey for your people. Ask them, what do they feel like they're struggling with? If you could think of something that you wish you were better at, you wish you were more prepared at doing, what would that be? Take that survey, look at that, create trainings based off of that.
Okay. Sounds great. I love it. Love it. Oh, and if y'all have any questions, anything, make sure you put it in the chat. We'll try to have some time to do that.
We'll go find an expert to answer them.
Yeah, you sure are. We got one in the house. uh, answer this for me as we talking about
Mhm.
crisis and people in children's ministry, and it can be in anything. But you know, I think if something is your passion, your purpose, you tend to get in there and you do it and you do it and you do it and you do it. But when we're talking about children's ministry, and as much as life changes
Mhm.
and technology changes and all of this, when you have someone that's been in leading children's ministry, working in children's ministry for 40, 50, 60 years, or well, maybe not 60, but 50 anyway. Yeah, 50. What do you think about that? Are they still can they still be effective? Or because
Yeah.
sometimes you don't have people that want to move up. You can't find younger people that say, "Hey, I'm going to take that commitment. I'm going to be consistent. I'll do it. I'll be trained or whatever." So you end up with the same people for score.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll say this. I mean, can someone who's been in children's ministry for forever, can it be effective? Yeah, I do think that they could be effective as long as they're staying up to date with what's happening in children's ministry. I think that I would never discount one of my favorite guys in children's ministry, Jim Whiteman. I, he's definitely been in there for a very long time, and I love inviting him to conversations because he still adds so much wisdom for the new leaders who God is raising up today, and I love to just sit under him and listen to that wisdom. But I think what you're saying with people being in it for so long, I think that you're revealing an issue that I actually talk about in the book, which is succession. And I think succession in children's ministry is so important. And when there is no succession, that's one of the issues you end up having. You end up having the same people doing it over and over and over again. And I think in children's ministry, it's so important for us to have a succession mindset. So when I say that, because I think if we don't have succession, we die. And I know it sounds harsh, but the seat that you are in today is not the same seat that you are going to be in tomorrow. This is why succession in ministry, period, is so important, not just in children's ministry, but my heart has bled for so many children's ministries who struggle with this issue. And when we look at the Bible, when we look at examples, we see John and the succession program and him handing it over to Jesus, right? We see Paul and the succession, him raising up Timothy, for the next generation. And I think it's so important that we do the same. I think our issues in children's ministry is children's ministry sometimes is not attractive. We are not good at making the children's ministry attractive and making it reflect the holy, real ministry that it is. Because we're not training, because we're not equipping, because we're throwing people into the lion's den when they're not prepared, because they're going off of no vision. It's this onion thing, this layer thing, because we haven't addressed all these layers. Instead of children's ministry looking the way God had intended for it to look, it looks like a sinking ship, and nobody wants to jump on board of a sinking ship. That people are going to die on that ship. I don't want to be on that ship when it goes
No.
down. And I think that
Right.
it's so important that we are intentional with really matching making it look exactly how God intended for it to look. And I think when we address these different layers of vision and sharing the vision and loving on those who are co-laboring alongside us. And even I love how you mentioned Coach Deborah about junior leaders, something that we're doing with our junior leaders who are coming in. They are the future of the church. Something
Right.
that we're doing when they come in, we don't let them sit along the side. We don't let them put on a shirt and just sit on the side. No, we give them the mic because this is training ground for them. Nothing gonna get messed up if you give a mic to a younger person and help equip them and prepare them for those moments. You'll find out that the kids look up to them way more than they look up to us, even though we've been preparing this lesson all night. Okay. We've been
Right.
doing all of this. And you put a junior leader and give them a mic. And even if they're a little shy, it's training ground for them. And the kids receive that. And they see them, they look up to that and they see themselves as they're growing. They look forward to that. And that makes our ministry look attractive. That makes our junior leaders, who are the next generation of the church, say, man, I'm a part of something bigger than me. I got to lead kids. We have trained our children's ministry leaders to be ready for prayer. When we call our children up to the
Yes.
altar, we have a
Right.
moment, and we do not have an altar, but we have created a spiritual altar. And we play soft music and we let those kids know that we are there for them. And our junior leaders line up and they are ready to get prayer. Can I tell you, it'd be 10, 20 kids in one line for a junior leader to get prayer. And I think that when we're following and tightening up all these different layers, I think that we will see that people want to be a part. Quite often, when we're just showing a sinking ship of ministries that are struggling, people don't want to be a part of that. And this is really, I mean, we mentioned this earlier. This is really why I wrote this book, to help people to address those different layers and deficiencies so that we're not left in a crisis. We're not left with ministries where nobody want to help. Nobody wants to help because they know they're gonna be in there by themselves.
Right.
They know they got to deal with something that they don't feel equipped to deal with because don't nobody do no training up in here. Like it's this, I mean, we have these ideas when we're going in to serve. And I think as we attack the different chapters and topics that I talk about in the book, I think we'll find ourselves really thriving and creating a department that really thrives. And it is totally possible. It takes time, but it is totally possible for any ministry that's willing to put in the effort and do the work.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Talk to us a little bit about being outdated.
Oh, you know, Coach Ever, when I did this chapter, I was like, I remember I prayed about it. I struggled writing it because I was like, man, I don't want to offend everybody. just, just, just outdated. And I mean, when I talk about outdated, I want to preface what I'm talking about. I'm talking about spaces. Sometimes I'm talking about spaces that are outdated. We have spaces that have been created for a generation that is foregone. This generation does not. This generation is the older generation. Okay, they and we have created it for them, and we're forcing the newer generation. You know, we're forcing this what new wine in these old wine skins.
Okay.
And what did Jesus say? He said it'll burst if you force this. And I think a lot of us force it in our ministries. I'm talking about resources and even methods. I've been a part of ministries where listen, they had a method once upon a time that totally worked. Somebody came up with it. They're in the church. It was amazing, but it's not working anymore because it's outdated. It's outdated for the children and the families of today, and nobody's showing up to it. But because it's part of tradition, they are keeping it alive and well. And I think that it's so important that we face the truth, because let me tell you something. This can be painful for us, especially and I've been there. I have dealt with people who've had great hearts and they love the children's ministry and they came up with these things once upon a time and they're just not working anymore, and they struggle. I think and it's hard for us. I remember coming in as a fresh leader. It was hard for me to be honest and say, I don't think that this is working anymore. And I think one of the challenges with that has really risen is because of our lack of honor for those who did come up with those incredible things once upon a time. I think if we honor them well and really share our hearts on the newer generation and why this needs to change, why this was incredible for this generation, but why this needs to change, and really bringing them alongside to help them to feel a part of that change and showing honor. I think honor is so important. I'm preaching this Sunday at our church for our larger congregation, and it's all about honor,
Mhm.
honoring the ways of the past. But I think it's important not to allow the ways of the past, especially outdated ways, to prevent us from moving forward in the future. And I think honor will help us to move a little easier
Yeah,
into that. Yeah, I think that we have to be careful, Deborah. We don't want to lose a generation
that's
because
right.
we're trying to force them into these outdated things. I did coaching today, and it broke my heart, to hear a woman, and she is so, she hates technology, and I'm like, ooh, you're dealing with digital natives. And she is just like, I hate technology, I will never use it, and I'm glad because we have volunteers who are on board for it, and they don't want to use it either, and we're trying to figure out a way that, and I'm like, mm, it's not going to work. They're fighting. They're trying to keep an outdated, method alive, and we don't want to lose our children in the process.
Right. It's so important.
And the older you get, Coach Deborah, I know because I am getting very stubborn. The older I get, especially when I cross over the 40 threshold, the harder it is to change. And I'm like, I'm trying to keep up with the TikToks. All this is too much. But there are times I have to force myself and I have to pull back and I have to say, you got to learn this.
All right.
You have to learn this because the generation who God has called for you to serve, this is what they're into. And the enemy's going to use it for sure, to get his shine. How can we use it for God's glory? And we're not going to be able to do that if we don't know the newer things, the newer resources, the newer methods, the newer upgrades of technology. We won't be able to do that. So it's so important that we become a student. I tell you, you're a student until the day you die.
That's right. And it's so, well, it's not funny, but it's just like texting. Um, I was kind of like, I was stuck on texting and emails. And then I found out, and they kept saying, well, we got group me, we got group me. What's group me? But I found that I can text. They won't look at the text or they won't respond to the text. But if I
Mhm.
throw it in group me,
Yep.
I get their response. So
Yep.
what do I have to do? I got to jump on group me.
Exactly. And sometimes it is a compromise type of game, when it comes to, I want to encourage people though, because I know that there are people where it happened to me. I was in an outdated space, and I had to deal with a lot of outdated mindsets, and um I had to learn how to navigate through that. But I want to encourage you to just really be bold as you're navigating. Allow Jesus to kind of lead you in that, and grace and love, and to season your words with salt, and do your homework. Make sure that you're educated. Don't just go up to the senior pastor and say, hey, we need to upgrade back here. Know why you need to upgrade, and be able to articulate, we need to upgrade because today's children, where they are, this is why they need this. And by not having this is what we can lead to. So just doing your homework to make sure you're an educated ambassador for the department that God has called for you to serve in.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Hey, Carol Crockett, what's up?
Hey, Carol.
Oh, okay. Um, well, I guess uh this one right here. Burnout. Burn out.
What's that? So huge, so huge. Yes.
Getting it done, but burnout.
It is such a huge issue. I think in life in general, I wouldn't even put that in this children's ministry category. I think we have to be so careful because God has called us into these ministries. And when we're burnt out, we're not giving all that God is calling for us to give and to pour out. And I think, and I said, and I did a chapter on this because I think it could be so easy for us to get there. And I actually did two chapters. I did one on burnout, and I also did one on spiritually dead ministries.
Bam, you got to talk about this. You got to talk about it.
Yes,
You got to talk about it.
I did, and it kind of felt the same, but it was different. I think when I did the burnout chapter, it was more of a, I think that you can still be spiritually alive. I don't think that it's a universal principle that if you're burnt out, you're spiritually dead. I think when I wrote the chapter on burnout, I think that could be so easy for us, especially we think because we have a great heart and a commitment towards the ministries that we serve, that we're exempt from burnout. And and if we're praying, if we're and I love how someone described, one of my friends described this, and I loved it. They described it as a settling. And I thought I was confused when they said that. So what do you mean a settling? And they were just talking about just burnout is just one settle to another settle to another settle. Burnout does not happen overnight, and we really need to become better, especially those who have been entrusted with such sacred holy ministries, and recognizing and not settling. And whatever the settle is for you, maybe the settle is you didn't go to sleep at night and you stayed up way too late. Maybe the settle is you got so busy with the ministry that you didn't get into the word of God. You didn't sit there and allow his presence to come in and to overtake your environment and to fill you with fresh oil, and you settle. Maybe you settled with your health and what you put into your body. And all these little things settle, not taking care of yourself here, compromising here, doing this here. And then you wake up and you're burnt out. Still have a heart, total pure heart for the ministry, but you are not operating in the way that God has intended. And I think it's so important that we pay attention to those settle moments and say, I'm not gonna settle because I don't have to. Coach Deborah, I'll give you an example. One of the things I do quite often, I go on prayer walks because I have learned that I can't afford to miss those prayer walks. I can afford not to have a script memorized for a sermon on Sunday more than I can afford to miss my prayer walk, because when I have my prayer walk, the Lord infuses me and he fills me. His spirit does something in me that whether I know my sermon to a T on Sunday, the Holy Spirit will come in and prepare me. So those are things that I cannot settle on. Those are, and it's so tempting when you're so busy and you got so many things going on to say, oh, the Lord understands. I'm doing the ministry for him. It's good. But I think that we have to be so careful and strict with our regimen, especially with our regimen when it comes to taking care of our health and our mental, and our relationship with God should always be number one. People can wait, okay? The people he created can wait, okay? The God who created us cannot. And I think that we are so distorted when it comes to that because we're so into this culture of hurry. So when I mention burnout in the book, I try to give some examples and really some triggers to really try to identify what are those triggers where you're like, oh, I'm about to spiral, I'm about to burn out. And what can you do to kind of pull back? Today I had a moment, I got busy, I'm not exempt. I said, I'm going to pull back and I'm taking myself out to lunch. And I'm going to enjoy my lunch. And I'm going to scroll on social media because I like doing it. And that's how I'm taking care of myself today. So just doing things like that. I think with the spiritually dead environment chapter that I wrote really had to do with how easy it is to be going through the motions of ministry. You have your agenda together, you have your plan in place, and you wake up and it's just spiritually dead. I think that this was something that I've experienced, in ministry. Like, what are we doing? What are the kids really getting out of this? What is Christ even the center of this anymore? I'll give you a sign when the kids are doing praise and worship. It's time to do songs. What are we doing? Are they really lifting up their hands? Do you really see them experiencing God's spirit? falling down, and them just having those moments. Are they just, doing the movements and say, okay, what's next? Well, okay, good job. What's next? Are
No.
the leaders? Are their backs up, alongside the wall, waiting for the kids to do the movements to the praise and worship? Because we model the faith for them. So when we
Yes.
do that, we just show them that this is just a formality. Your parents will be here in a second to pick you up. Just do what we're supposed to do and behave. But those aren't spiritually alive environments. And that was something, Coach Deborah, I noticed about our environment, that and one of the things we just incorporated, I told you about, was prayer. I've said these kids need a moment to connect with their heavenly Father, so that
Mhm.
when they leave this place and they're going through whatever they're going through outside the four walls of this space, they know that they have a Father who loves them, who they can connect with. I don't care if they're not used to it, they'll get used to it. We'll create a culture where they're connecting with their Heavenly Father. And can I tell you, we did that. I remember we dimmed the lights, we played soft music, we set the environment. And one of our kids, we were having issues, we were getting kids with special needs. I remember one of our kids who really struggles, he said, this was the most special moment I've ever experienced in here. He said, I feel like I want to cry. And I
Mm.
told you, you feel God's spirit. That's what you feel. And
Yeah.
it's just because we were intentional about breaking off of the agenda and the schedule and creating a spiritually alive environment. Sometimes it causes you to have to change some things around. Sometimes the kids may not be used to the changes, but I'm telling you, when you create that culture, kids are flexible, okay? They will jump into it. Look, give it about a month, okay?
Yes, yes, yes. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for covering that. That is so that one, that's all of it's important, but that burnout, because we hear so much now about people and their mental health.
Yeah.
And, is like, it seems like it's just so many people, and what her? Well, I thought she had it all together. I thought he had it all together, but you never know what people are going through.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that time.
Yeah, and make sure you're not taking advantage of the people who don't know how to say no.
No.
If you're a leader and you be needing help, I know I'll be doing it too. Be careful for those who don't know how to say no, and you're gonna have to say no for them, even if that means that you're a little strapped for help, because you don't want those people who are super committed to experience burnout. You don't want to be the reason why they're burned out. Because some people struggle. They don't know. They just struggle. They don't know how to say no. Make sure that you are not unintentionally taking advantage of that and say, well, I can go to sister so and so because she always got my back. Be careful, because that could get murky if we're not careful, because people need breaks.
Need a break. That's right. That is so right. I know y'all are enjoying this. This is so good, so good, so good. But yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, you need to get that word. You need to focus on yourself, because that burnout, that is real.
Yeah, it is 100%.
Yeah, and Coach talks about that no. Sometimes people think you can't say no, and I used to be like that. I don't care if I had 14 hours of stuff to do. Somebody asked me to do something. Oh, okay. But I've learned, no, it's okay to say no. I really would like to, but I just can't. My calendar is full. If you need me in the future, be glad to. If my calendar is open, but I can't, and I want to do you justice, and I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so that's good. And I've been waiting for this one. I've been waiting for this one. Tell us about the hope. The hope.
Oh man.
Yes.
So Coach Deborah, I ended the book on this chapter. I really felt led to just talk about hope, because as I have traveled and worked with so many different children's ministry leaders, so many who are questioning their calling, who have lost hope in what God has called for them to do. I thought that this was so important. I think when it comes to hope in children's ministry, I think that we have to be careful not to put too much. on ourselves and to really celebrate the small wins. I talk about this in this chapter. Sometimes all we got are those small wins, and we need to celebrate those. We need to celebrate those. We need to thank God. We need to have a heart of gratefulness when God gives us a win. We need to share those wins with others and get those around us excited. I think, especially, and I've worked with so many people, and not just me sitting under people, and how intimidating it can be when you, it seems like these ministries are doing great, and they seem like they have it together, and our ministry is struggling. And I think that can cause us to lose hope. And I think it's so important to really take on this concept of one bite of the elephant at a time. We have to be careful to compare ourselves. What to say? We cannot compare ourselves by ourselves. That will get us into trouble all the time. But what are the little bites of the elephant that you can take so that you can grow? In my book, I talk about what I loved about the workbook is that we were actually able to create a worksheet in the workbook to help guide those in children's ministry, those leaders and those who are serving on how to take those little bites of the elephant. What can I do this week to make it better?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what can I do? How can I keep that? And then what can I do the second week to make things better? And then what can I keep all these things and change the third week? Maybe it's a little tweak here and there. Maybe it's your checkout policy. I can't tell you how many people I talk to. Like checkout is just chaotic for me. Maybe you do something different there. Maybe you realize we do have it. This environment does feel spiritually dead. Maybe we incorporate prayer here. Maybe we don't really use prompts to really make things come alive for the kids. So and so is so good at that. Let's talk to them. Maybe they can start creating prompts. And maybe that's on your agenda for this week. I'm reaching out to them. And then you do this week by week by week. And you wake up in a year, you have dramatically improved the children's ministry environment for the children and families that you've been called to serve. And I think it's so important to do that. And something else I talked about in this chapter was really about faith. It is so I say it because it sounds so simple, but it's so easy for us to operate outside of that and just get caught up in the motions of ministry that we don't even have faith anymore. You know, and Coach Ricardo Miller always says this: someone's assigned to help you,
Mm-hmm.
but you wake up and you haven't had the help in a long time, and you don't even have you hear that you don't even have faith that God has assigned someone to help you. You think the ministry that you think this is your ministry, and you have forgotten that this is God's ministry, that
Yes.
He has assigned people to help. You
That's
just
right.
have to rip off those scales off of your eyes and have faith and see and look for what God has for you. So I really poured my heart into just really helping leaders to know. I think that there are certain things that make us lose hope that are natural. Rejection is natural. Listen, you're going to call people to help who God may be like, I haven't called them, and they're going to reject you. There are going to be people who are going to walk away from your ministry. These are normal things. This is not a reason to lose hope in the incredible God that we serve and in this sacred calling that He has called you to. So I just encourage those in the ministry to keep the faith,
Yeah.
to continue to trust that God has this, that God has you, that God has put in you everything that you need to be an incredible leader, to inspire those whom He has entrusted you to lead. That He has done that. Something I always put that I put in the book, and I actually put in the workbook too. When it comes to just having faith and believing, and it is on page 116 of the book, and it says it's an affirmation,
Mm-hmm.
and it says this issue can be fixed, this issue will be fixed, and I will be a testament to one who has fixed it. And I think it's so important that we recite this in the workbook. I force people to write what that issue is, right?
Okay.
Whatever that issue is, to affirm every day this issue can be fixed, this issue will be fixed, and I will be a testament of one who has fixed it. This is the type of faith that I'm talking about. I'm trying to get y'all to activate something in the spiritual realm, okay, with this affirmation, okay.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, Pastor Marks. That's right. Amen. I love that. This issue can be fixed. This issue will be fixed. And I will be a testament of one who has fixed
Yeah,
it.
we're not gonna get upset. We're not gonna spiral when we have issues and things don't work out the way we want to work it. There is a solution for everything. We're gonna find the solution. We are gonna trust God to lead us to it. Okay. And we
Yeah.
didn't get this fixed because this is not our ministry, but this is his ministry. This is not our kids, but these are his kids. These are his children, his families who he loves dearly, who he has placed callings and he has birthed greatness within. And we're gonna let him do what he does best, and we are gonna do our work with joy. We're gonna let the enemy come in and cause confusion and make us not do it with joy. We are gonna do it with joy.
Mm. All right. Thank you, Angela.
Angela's funny. She said this book has helped me on my secular job.
I can believe that because as I've been writing, as I read, I was like, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that goes beyond children's ministry. That's life as well as in ministry.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
With your children, your babies, your sons, this issue can be fixed. This issue will be fixed, and I'll be a testament, okay? Because God is gonna work in and through me, okay? He's gonna bring.
Yes.
He's gonna bring that prodigal home. He's gonna get it right. He's gonna be whispering and doing stuff that I can't see. He's gonna be doing the work behind the scenes. He's got this. He's got our babies.
That's right. Thank you so much. This has been awesome, awesome, awesome. I could talk about this all night, but I know people like, you know what? Now here, I got on here. We got to have dinner. For how long she gonna keep us on here? Y'all know y'all loving it just like I am. But thank you so much, Esther. This has been very enlightening, fulfilling. It answered a lot of my questions, so I know it helped a lot of our guests tonight. But please, please, please tell us about a little bit more about A Child's Heart and how they can reach you, how they can get your books, your curriculum, you to come out and speak, everything that you are doing to help.
Absolutely. If you want to contact me and get this resource, it is very easy. You can go to esthermoreno.com. Look how easy I made it. You can get everything, access to all the resources. If your team needs some training, contact me. You can contact me through that website as well. And I do want to mention we are doing on Saturday a training not just for children's ministry leaders, but for those who are serving in children's ministry. Whether you are a volunteer, we are inviting the whole team to come out, incredible voices on Saturday. As long as you are a part of the Children's Ministry Moving Forward Facebook group, you can get access to that. It is a free training. If training is something you struggle with, hey, tell your team, send them a message. Hey, join this and let's talk about it later, about all the nuggets that you got out of it. One of the things that I love, I am not a self-proclaimed expert. I think that we are stronger together. And I believe that I have got some incredibly strong, gifted voices in the space who just want to speak and pour into leaders across the country and help them to just really get to that place of excellence, to revive hope again in their children's ministry where hope has been lost, to help when it comes to being outdated, to help when it comes to growth and training, to speak to the heart, not just of the leader, but also to the volunteer, to help when it comes to leadership and discovering those deficiencies and those strengths and just so much more, avoiding burnout, the whole gambit. We're literally going through every chapter and just pouring out wisdom from just these incredible people. So I do want to invite you to be a part of that. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Angela's here. Angela's going to be one of those incredible voices who will be speaking on Saturday. So you do not want to miss it.
And what's the page again?
It's called the Children's Ministry Moving Forward.
All
So if you
right.
put Children's Ministry Moving Forward in Facebook, you will be able to find the group.
All right. Sounds great. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much, Esther. This has been wonderful. And I can't wait till next month.
It's always a joy every time I get to hang out with Coach Deborah. Okay.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, everyone, I have enjoyed this today. I hope that you will join me here Thursday for Thursday Live, a month on the fourth Thursday. Uh, Coach Ricardo Miller, I know y'all know that name. He's going to be here with me this Thursday, and we're going to be talking about empowering young men and encouraging mothers. So you want to join us 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Build Your Best Life Facebook or YouTube. But if you were on here today, please, please, please like my page, turn on those notifications, subscribe to my YouTube page. I appreciate it. I love you, love you, love you. But we have so much fun on here. Well, at least I do.
We do. We all have fun on here.
I'm having fun. I'm loving it. So thank you all for tuning in today. And I know this year our theme is Blueprint for Success. But the other thing that we are declaring for you this year is Jeremiah 29:11. And that is that God wants what? I always ask y'all to put it in the chat, but I'll let you slide today. But he wants you to have prosperity. He doesn't want you to have that disaster or any of those things. He wants you to have prosperity and also the future that you hope for. So please design your blueprint for success based on the plans that God has for you. And then put in the work. You got to put in the work. And then you can build your best life. So thank you so much. Remember, you can reach me at www.buildyourbestlife.org. Remember, building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan, it's our commitment. I love you. Be blessed. Stay safe. And thank you, Esther. I love you.
Oh, I love you. And I love you all.
All righty. Bye-bye.